Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Medeva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishapahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. So we are seeing the 12th verse in our list and the 22nd verse in the original text. Virajya Vishayavratad Dosha Drishtya Muhurmuhu Swalakshye Niyatavasta Manasashama Uchyate. So in the last class, we completed a discussion on the first line of this sloka. Virajya. May you develop more and more detachment, more and more vairagyam. With regard to what? Vishaya Brata. The multitude of sense objects covering both animate and inanimate things, which consist of objects, beings, situations, etc. With whom I have got attachment. Because first of all, you have to have attachment, then only we can talk about detachment, isn't it? And how to go about it? He says, Dosha Drishtya Muhur Muhuhu. Muhur Muhuhu. Again and again, constantly. Dosha Drishtya. Seeing the problems of attachment, like Raga, which leads to Shoka, which leads to Moha. Perceiving the limitations of these worldly objects. Defects in the worldly object. The very first defect is they are all impermanent. Anityatvam. So by constantly seeing or perceiving the defects or the inefficiencies or the limitations in the worldly objects, which we perceive through our sense organs, develop more and more detachment, progressively get detached. So with that, we completed the discussion on Vairagya, the qualification of Vairagya. Now, from the second line of this verse, Shankaracharya enters into the third qualification. What is the third qualification? Shatka Sampattihi, the sixfold inner wealth consisting of 6 different virtues or disciplines or faculties, whatever you can call. And as I said, it is the internal wealth. It is not physical wealth. It is a value system, a discipline. 6 of them are there. And Shankaracharya is going to define each one. The first one is called Shamaha. What is Shamaha? Shamaha simply put means mastering the mind or managing the mind. And what does that mean? That means directing the thoughts of the mind properly, regulating the thoughts. Because the mind's job is to continuously generate the thoughts, isn't it? In fact, if you look at it, all our thoughts which are generated continuously can be classified into three types broadly. Jagat related thoughts or Jagat generated thoughts, you can say. One, that is first type. Second is Vasana generated thoughts. And the third is free will generated thoughts. So when I experience the world through the sense organs, the world generates thoughts in the mind. And when I have closed the sense organs, my past experiences, which are there in the form of memories or vasanas, registered in my subconscious mind, those vasanas generate thoughts. These thoughts could be of previous births or of younger days, school days, college days, could be anything rather, and they can get generated in a random manner also. And when I decide not to be overpowered by either world generated or vasana generated thoughts, and I decide to dwell on those thoughts that I want, they are called will generated thoughts. And our mind should predominantly have deliberate thoughts and not be overpowered by the worldly, that is, thoughts generated by the world and thoughts generated by our vasanas. And once I have grasped that the willpower and I decide to direct my thoughts, what should I ask? The first question I should ask is, what should I do? And Shankaracharya gives the advice, develop attachment. Develop attachment? What are you saying, Guruji? A minute ago you said drop all attachments. Now you are saying develop attachment. What is this? Is there some total contradiction in what you are saying? There is no contradiction. We have to first drop all attachments towards anitya vastuni, the temporary things, impermanent things. So anitya vishaya raga, you give up attachments towards this ephemeral world. But then develop attachment towards what? Shankaracharya says, may you develop attachment towards the Nitya Vastu. Nitya Vastu Raga develop, and that is what he is defining here as Shamaha. Therefore, all our thoughts, willpower generated thoughts, very well managed, regulated thoughts should be directed towards what? Nitya Vishaya Raga, attachment towards the Nitya Vastu. And he said there are a lot of practical advantages in doing so. And not only that, it will ultimately liberate me also. That's very fine. Now question is, what is this Nitya Vastu? We know only Anitya Vastu. I do not know what is Nitya Vastu because always throughout my life, I experience only impermanent things. I don't know what is permanent. Therefore, if I have to develop attachment towards Nitya Vastu, towards the permanent, how do I do it? How do I know what is a Nitya Vastu? What should I do? I will have to take the help of scriptures. Scriptural study will become compulsory because it is the scriptures alone, the Vedas and the Veda-based scriptures alone, they talk about Nitya Vastu. No other books, the books of the Laukika world or the Laukika books of the world, all of them, physics, chemistry, science, mathematics, all of them, they will talk more and more about Anitya Vastuni only. All magazines will talk about biography of cinema actors or even great thinkers. All impermanent. And if you say, I don't read books, Instagram, Facebook, all of them are there. What is the Twitter? In most of them, we read about actors only, all these film actors, Bollywood, Collywood, Tollywood, all the woods. All those people and various other impermanent things. We are all hooked by these things. Of course, we must not totally condemn them because there are some good programs also. Even WhatsApp, we do receive some good forwards and all that. There are devotional discourses also which talk about the eternal, etc. But by and large, they don't talk about Nitya Vastu. And our scriptures introduce the eternal as Bhagavan or God. Nitya Vastu as God. Thus, the entire Jagat is Anitya Vastu and God is Nitya Vastu. So, what is the call of the scriptures? May you develop more and more attachment towards God. And Acharya calls this as Swalakshyam. Swalakshye niyatavastha, the state of mind of abiding in one's ultimate goal, the eternal goal. That means what? Family life, earning, acquiring property, all these things are all mundane exercises, not for developing attachment, but to be used for preparing the mind for the pursuit of Nitya Vastu. So, first use all these worldly objects and things to develop attachment. Then, once the attachment is developed in the mind, remove the worldly objects and things, impermanent things, and bring in the Nitya Vastu, the permanent, using the same attachment. That is the technology involved in doing this. But then what happens is, practically, the more we live in the family, the more attachment we develop towards it, and we are unable to get rid of it. So what the scriptures visualize is, in 30, 40 years, after gaining the family experience and analyzing those experiences with a thinking mind, a wise mind, we should have progressively developed detachment. And that's why there is an ashrama in the Varnashrama structure called Vanaprastha Ashrama, which follows the Grihastha Ashrama. So beautiful structure they have created, Every stage of life, the whole life, our scriptures see as a spiritual journey only right from birth. That's the guidance Vedas give. You have got a human being, such a wonderful, rare life in the form of a human being. A great opportunity has landed on your lap. Use that opportunity to lead a spiritual life, travel in the spiritual path, and reach your ultimate goal of the Parama Purushartha, moksha. And use the Vanaprastha to achieve these twin goals. What are the twin goals? Completing the process of detachment from Anitya Vishayas and developing attachments towards Nitya Vastu. And let me tell you, Vanaprastha is not a physical ashrama, need not be a physical ashrama. It's again all these ashramas which you are talking about, they are all ashramas which we can conceive for ourselves, irrespective of the place where we live. It is a mental condition. We can condition our mind to become more and more detached with all these material things, family relationships, and all that, and develop attachment towards God, the eternal, the permanent Nitya Vastu. Earlier classes and all, not in, I don't remember in Gita, maybe when I was teaching Tattva Bodha and all that, how to actually develop this detachment, convert all special relationships into general relationships. As I explained in the last class, all Vishayas into Padarthas. Because when we analyze our relationships, there are certain relationships which do not affect us emotionally at all. Even if they do, it is for a very, very short period of time. Insignificant. Whereas there are certain other relationships which have got a very significant impact on our emotional state of mind. And these relationships typically are immediate family, like spouse, children, parents, etc. Sometimes it extends to uncles, etc. When something happens to them, the attachment is so much that there is an emotional upheaval. In fact, you will also find that most of our conflicts is with this group of people, special relationships only. So the relationships which do not affect you emotionally in a significant manner, I call them general relationships. And those those relationships which are capable, which have a potential of affecting us emotionally, I call them special relationships. So what is the detachment we are talking about? Slowly converting all the special relationships into general relationships. Relationship is not changed. Relationship is still there. Their presence is still felt. But what has changed is that their capacity to affect you emotionally has got reduced because of your action or your approach towards them rather. So this is, we are talking within the Anitya Vastus, how Anitya Vishayas, how we should develop detachment. Once sufficiently developed, that detachment is developed, then develop attachment towards Nitya Vastu. And the Vanaprastha is best suited for that. Once you have done with all your duties and responsibilities in the Grihastha Artha, Kama, Dharma, you have finished in the Grihastha, it's time for contemplation. It is time to recall your life's goals and pursue. Take the next stage of your life in the Vanaprastha. That is why in Vanaprastha, contemplation, reflection, upasana, meditation, they are all emphasized. And sannyasa ashrama, which follows, is to be used to complete the attachment to Nitya Vastu and continue to abide in that attachment. Again, sannyasa ashrama means sannyasa state of mind, renunciate state of mind. And this attachment towards the Nitya Vastu can be gained through the knowledge of the self, through Jnana Yoga sadhanas. Therefore, family is not for attachment, but for developing detachment and preparing the mind. And that's why he calls it Swalakshyam. Lakshyam means goal of life. Swa means one's own. And that goal is Nitya Vastu. The eternal alone can give me lasting peace, lasting security, and lasting happiness. Non-eternal things can never give permanent peace, security, and happiness. Swami Paramarthananda ji gives a very nice example. He says the whole world is like a cardboard chair. Cardboard chair, well designed, decorated, very nice to look at, and also very nice to display in a showcase. You can enjoy the sight of it, you can do everything else with that, except that you can never sit over on that chair. And if you choose to sit on that chair, you can imagine the consequences. So, like the statutory warning, our scriptures declare the entire universe is anityam, like a cardboard chair. You must use it appropriately. It is useful for preparing the mind, but not usable as an emotional support, not as an emotional crutch. Never ever attempt that. Therefore, Swalakshe in the Nitya Vastu, which is the only permanent source of peace, security, and happiness, Nityavastha. Nityavastha means the state of mind of abiding in, or fixed upon, or focused on, or established in the permanent goal of God. And the uniqueness of our scriptures is God or Ishvara is presented to a spiritual seeker in 3 different dimensions. This is another aspect we all fail to note. These 3 different dimensions are presented depending upon the level of evolution of the seeker. God is given 3 versions. One version for a Mandadhikari, another version for Madhyama Adhikari, and a third version for a Uttama Adhikari. I hope you all know who is a Manda Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari. We have discussed this right in the inaugural class itself. So the first version is what we call the Ishta Devata version. Ishvara or God is presented in the form of various attractive deities. Even though God is one, that God is presented in different forms, both male and female. So we can choose any one of them according to our liking. That's the Ishta Devata concept. People have the Kula Devata, their family deity and all. But you are also have the freedom, apart from your family deity, choose one more deity who to your liking, rather. And various Puranas also give several stories about each of those deities, each of those gods. The more we read those stories, the more we will fall in love with gods, which is worthy and very necessary at the stage of a Manda Adhikari. Who has not studied Bhagavatam and not fell in love with Krishna? Hardly there will be anyone like that. Who has not studied Valmiki Ramayana and not fallen in, not develop a great respect for Rama? Thus, we fall in love with one Ishta Devata or the other, and one would like to associate with that God more and more. This is for a Manda Adhikari. With Manda Adhikari, we can probably correlate with a high school pass level, right? He has completed high school. And for the undergraduate, who after the high school, you enter the university for an undergraduate bachelor's course. The Madhyama Adhikari. And for a Madhyama Adhikari, the very same Bhagavan, the very same God is described as the entire universe itself. The whole universe is presented as the body of God. God with Brahman behind him. Of course, this Brahman aspect is not stressed or highlighted too much at this stage. But the body of God as Vishwarupa Ishwara is described in detail. So from a Ishta Devata, an individual body, we move to the macro. From micro, we move to the macro. The entire universe is presented as the Vishwarupa Ishwara. The more we learn to appreciate the wonderful universe, it is appreciation of the God himself. And then what happens when that development takes place? The materialistic mindset is replaced by a religious mindset. Of course, this happens even in the Ekarupa Ishwara Darshanam or Vishwarupa Ishwara Darshanam. Both the cases, you reduce, the materialistic outlook is reduced and you develop a religious mindset. And if we become a devotee of Vishwarupa Ishwara, there is a big advantage. Bhagavan is always available. Everywhere I see Bhagavan only, all over the place. The moment I wake up, the sun, the moon, the stars, animals, plants, other human beings, the whole creation is so wonderful if only we open our eyes to perceive it. Whatever my eyes perceive is Bhagavan. Whatever my ears hear is Bhagavan. Whatever my tongue tastes is Bhagavan. Whatever my nose smells is Bhagavan. And whatever my skin feels is Bhagavan. Because the entire universe we observe, we perceive with our five sense organs. So whatever we perceive with our five sense organs is Bhagavan only. There is nothing else but Bhagavan alone. In fact, even if there is ugliness in this world, it is also Bhagavan only. Of course, Swamiji says that it's a different matter that the only ugly part of the universe is wherever human beings are there. We only manage to make what is beautiful into ugly. Therefore, the more we see the totality of the universe, the more it appears wonderful. In fact, it is really, we are awestruck rather. And such varieties. And such an appreciative experience of the world becomes bhakti, appreciation of God. In every experience, we appreciate God in one form or the other. And this especially helps in a crisis in our lives. When we are faced with challenges, we turn to that God, those cosmic forces, and plead for help. And let me assure you, if you plead sincerely from the bottom of your heart, as they say, help does come. Therefore, the bhakti increases in a religious mindset, religious mind, because we understand how powerful the God is. The omnipotence of God is revealed by the events and challenges that we face. You take the case of this pandemic itself. Bhagavan can create an insignificant, invisible virus and humble the entire arrogant humanity. It is not only that the humans become arrogant, even devatas can also become arrogant with the power that they possess. In fact, in Kenopanishad, with a blade of grass, Bhagavan humbles Indra, Agni, Vayu. There's a story in Kenopanishad. So now, Bhagavan, through his omnipotence, continues to humble the entire humanity. Even now, COVID is not completely gone. And all this because possibly we asked for it. And Bhagavan is now doing that even without the help of a blade of grass, much smaller, an invisible virus. Therefore, this experience also increases the devotion for a religious mind. The discovery of the vaccines is also an act of God. If Bhagavan gives one challenge, he also gives a solution to overcome that challenge. That increases my bhakti. Because Bhagavan has endowed us with an intellect and a free will, using which we can find a solution to every challenge that we face. Therefore, we should enjoy Bhagavan's omnipotence and remain relaxed and peaceful. So, convert the materialistic mind into a religious mind by developing attachment to Ekarupa Ishwara first and then to Vishwarupa Ishwara. And once the mind has become mature to appreciate the Lord everywhere, Lord Krishna says in the 10th chapter of the Gita, which is aptly named Vishwarupa Darshanam, he says, Madchitta Madgata Pranaha Bodhayantah Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. Madchitta Madgata Prana, with their minds fixed on me and their lives surrendered to me, my devotees remain ever content in me. They derive great satisfaction and bliss in enlightening one another about me and in conversing about my glories. My devotees enjoy my glory in every experience, good or bad. And this is the chapter Vishwarupa Darshana, where Bhagavan Krishna says this. So this is the undergraduate student, the bachelor student, right? And when we move from Vishwarupa Ishwara, which is the body of the Lord, we go to Arupa Ishwara, which is the real God behind the changing body of all Rupa Ishwaras. What we sensorily experience is the changing body of God. It is called Apara Prakriti. Bhagavan defines it as Apara Prakriti in the 7th chapter. Once we are ready, we can go behind the changing world, which is the body of the Lord, and we can go to that changeless God, which is called Brahman, Atman, which is described in the Mundaka Upanishad as what? Yattad adreshyam, agrahyam, agotram, avarnam, achakshuhu, shrotram, tad apanipadham, nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam, tad avyayam, yad bhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. Definition of that Atman or Brahman, description of that Atman or Brahman, Nirguna Brahma, Adreshyam, which cannot be seen, Agrahyam, which cannot be grasped, Agotram does not have any lineage, not born to anybody, Avarnam doesn't have any color, Achakshuhu doesn't have any perceiving faculty. Like that it describes. So Nirgunam Brahma is the real God. Knowing and appreciating that is the highest form of bhakti, postgraduate bhakti. Therefore, Ekarupa Bhakti to Vishwarupa Bhakti to Arupa or Nirguna Ishwara Bhakti. This is the spiritual journey. And to reach the postgraduate level should be our goal in life. So appreciation of all these three levels we have to start instead of constantly worrying about spouse, children, grandchildren, etc. We should not waste our life getting lost in all these emotional trappings, which is otherwise called samsara. Therefore, Swalakshe Nityavastha indicates the mind going Godwards. From a materialistic mind to a religious mind. And then from a religious mind to a spiritual mind. Thus, the spiritual wisdom is the ultimate destination, which is called moksha, which he describes as manasa shama uchyate. That condition of mind is called shamaha. So very simply defined, shamaha means directing the mind, which means directing the thoughts and also the converting the material thoughts into predominantly religious and spiritual thoughts. We do require materialistic thoughts for transaction. It's not that entire mind you change into a religious mind or a spiritual mind. But the mind that is dominated, predominantly a religious and a spiritual mind. A mind that is dominated by religious and spiritual thoughts is called shamaha, mind management, thought management. We can find more details in Bhagavad Gita, which is a very compulsory study for anybody who is there in the spiritual path. In fact, every spiritual seeker should compulsorily study the entire Gita with the help of a qualified guru. And this study should be consistent and systematic from chapter 1 to chapter 18. If the whole Gita is what Bhagavan beautifully guides us from Ekarupa Ishvara to Vishwarupa Ishvara to Arupa Ishvara Bhakti. That is the whole underlying theme of Bhagavad Gita. Now we will continue with the next verse 13. Vishayebhyah paravartya स्थापनम स्वस्व घोड़के उभयेषाम् इंद्रियाणां सद्दम परिकीर्तितः. So after Shamaha, explaining what is Shamaha, the next of the 6 qualifications, 6 disciplines, Shankaracharya is explaining. And that is called Damaha. So Anvaya of this sloka is Ubhayesham Indriyanam Vishayebhyah Paravartya Swaswa Golake Sthapanam Saha Damaha Parikirtitaha. Ubhayesham Indriyanam, both the organs of perception and action, both Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. Vishayebhyah, from the objects, Paravartya, of withdrawing, Swaswa Golake, in their respective places, Sthapanam, placing, Saha, that, Damaha, Dama, Parikirtitaha is said. So the placing of both the organs of perception and action in their respective places after withdrawing them from their respective objects is said to be Dhamma. In short, we can say Dhamma is, earlier we said, Shamaha is mind management. Dhamma is what? Dhamma is the management of our sense organs and organs of action. 10 of them. So now we are in the third qualification of the group of 6 disciplines. In fact, for convenience, we can number them as 3A, 3B, 3C, etc. So 3A is Shamaha. We are now going to 3B, which is called Damaha. Tattvabodha defines Damaha as Indriya Nigraha. Shamaha is Mano Nigraha. Damaha is Indriya Nigraha, sensory discipline. Now, somebody may ask, if I practice Mano Nigraha, why should I also practice Indriya Nigraha, sensory discipline? The answer is, for Mano Nigraha, Indriya Nigraha is a prerequisite. Why? Because sense organs influence our thoughts by pushing in the entire material world into our mind. Every sense organ is a gateway to the external world. If there are no sense organs, the world doesn't exist. Isn't it? For a person who cannot see, the world of colors and forms doesn't exist. For a person who can't hear, the world of sound doesn't exist. So if we have no sense organ, the world doesn't exist at all. And that is why, when we are in deep sleep, when all the sense organs are completely inactive, in the state of sushupti, no materialism is possible. In fact, there is no attachment, no materialism, nothing. State of deep sleep. In fact, that is the state where we are with our real self. However, the moment the sense organs are opened up, next day early morning, all five of them start their job. Continuously pump the world of five segments consisting of Shabda, sound, Sparsha, touch, Rupa, forms and colors, Rasa, taste, and Gandha, smell into the mind. So the entire world, Prapancha, is divided into these five segments, and through these five organs, five types of sense objects are constantly entering our mind. And the moment they enter, the mind entertains those object-related thoughts. Therefore, these five sense organs act as the marketing agents of Maya, the tempting power of Bhagavan. Even if you want to know what is the news and you are not interested in anything else, when you switch on the TV channel for seeing the news, every 5 minutes there will be a commercial break, which means what? Maya starts its job, showing you all different attractive things. Oh, I can buy this, I can buy that, I don't have this, kind of a thing. And Bhagavan Krishna, the 7th chapter, beautifully describes Daivi Hesha Gunamaye Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Prabadhyante Maya Metam Tarantite. He says, it's my Maya. It is my Maya, only all these things are happening there. So Maya is also very much part of Bhagavan only. And since the mind develops materialistic thoughts by, by these sense organs pushing these sense objects inside the mind, it becomes necessary for us to judicially use the sense organs. Wherever there is a field of temptation, turn the sense organs away from that. Do not allow your mind to be influenced by all these. In fact, many places, we have seen some videos. It will give a warning. What it will say, it has got some content, very, I'm forgetting the name. Some that is very dangerous, not to be watched by children, etc. And even people with a weak mind, they should not watch. There is a particular phrase they use. I'm not getting that now. There's a warning they put. Not sensual content. Anyhow, so
Mahodaya, obscene visuals, like
no,
that they
not
say.
object visuals. There is a warning given right in the beginning of the video that this video contains some, disturbing content, which can disturb the mind. So you view it judicially, something like that. Some, disclaimers comes right in the beginning. Some of these videos I've seen that disclaimer. So wherever there is a field of temptation, turn the sense organs away from that. Whatever be the source, whether it is direct perception or a TV program or newspapers or magazines, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, whatever be the source, turn your attention away from the temptations offered by these. Because unfortunately, all these are all becoming very addictive for all, irrespective of the age. I've seen many people right in the morning, 4 o'clock, they will wake up. Means what? Open their eyes. First thing they will see the cell phone. What is out there? Once they have done that, close the phone, go back to sleep. I mean, such an addiction that even in sleep, you are waking up and looking at this phone and what is happening and then going back to sleep. Therefore, don't get trapped in the internet Maya bazaar is the message. Thus, the mind is influenced by the sense organs, and the sense organs in turn are influenced by the mind. They, in fact, complement each other. Therefore, mind management and sense management are complementary. Again, as I said, Bhagavad Gita is the encyclopedia for all these things. Right? It's all discussed so detailed, elaborately by Lord Krishna in the Gita. He discusses the importance of mind management, sense control. Of course, sense control doesn't mean suppression, but disciplining. Because when disciplining is involved, our will is involved. Suppression always comes with an external force is involved, right? So, not because of any external force, but because of one's own will, one should master the sense organs. One should decide, I don't want to let my mind and sense organs rule over me. I want them under my control so that I can direct them, I can manage them the way I want. Therefore, the Acharya says, Ubhayesham Indriyanam. Indriyanam means sense organs. As I said, the scriptures talk about 10 sense organs, 5 for receiving inputs for knowledge, which are what you call Jnanendriyas, and 5 for action for giving output. Output sense organs, which are called Karmendriyani. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are the 5 Jnanendriyani, sense organs of knowledge, speech, hand, leg, and 2 organs of excretion for removal of the waste. They are the 5 sense organs of action or response, whatever you may call. So all these 10 sense organs must be controlled, disciplined. It's a very big exercise which will take months, if not years. One has to be very consciously develop this management that is regulating the sense organs. And amongst them also there is a priority. Speech is extremely difficult to control. On the positive side, it helps people connect and share problems, but can be used to start a fight and quarrel also. A tongue discipline, both for eating and talking, is very important. So Shankaracharya sums up them here, Ubhayesham Indriyana. Both group of sense organs, Paravartya, should be withdrawn. Withdrawn from where? Vishayebhyaha. Withdrawn from the fields of temptation. The binding, tempting sense objects are the field of temptation. Withdrawing the sense organs from the respective sense objects. It should be, that is what is the sense management is all about. In the Gita, Bhagavan Krishna gives the example of a tortoise. Kurma-anganiva, just as the tortoise withdraws all its limbs and its head into its shell. When there is danger, we should withdraw our sense organs when there is temptation around. So Paravartya, having turned away the sense organs, Swaswa Golake Sthapanam, putting them in their place, putting them in their respective locations, placing them in their respective locations. Sthapanam means placement. Swaswa Golake means in the respective locations. The physical position of every sense organ is called a Golakam in the Shastra. For example, if you are asked, with the help of what do you see? Immediately we will say that we see with the help of our eyes, correct? Now, when we say eye, normally we will refer to the physical eye which is there, right? But that is actually a jada. With the physical eye, you cannot see anything even if it is open, unless it is backed by the faculty of sight, which is a subtle thing, which we can't see. So, even though, that's why, people who are blind, as we say, the sight challenged by seeing, their eyes may be open, but they can't see because the faculty of sight is missing. So this eyeball is called Golakam. Similarly, for all ears also, the physical ear is called a Golakam, and the faculty of hearing is what is the sense organ. This is not a sense organ. When we say eye, that is not a sense organ. It only helps the sense organ, which is the faculty of sight, to go out and bring in all the external stuff inside. Similarly, the faculty of perceiving, as I said, is located in the ears and so on. So the sense organs, the faculty of perception, belong to the Sukshma Sharira. And their physical location belongs to the Stula Sharira. So these sense organs belonging to the subtle body should be put in place in their respective Golakam, in their respective gross physical body. In short, what it says, don't allow them to go out into the fields of temptation. Withdraw them if they go. Don't let them out freely to wander. That's all. Avoid extrovertedness of the sense organs. Saha damaha parikirtitaha means indriya nigraha, regulating the activities of the sense organs. That exercise is called damaha. And this exercise is not practiced just once in a day or a few times a day. It should be continuously practiced because we are continuously tempted by them. And so we have tempted by them. So we have to be alert throughout the day. With that, Dhammaha is explained. So we have seen 3A and 3B. Now we go to 3C. One thing we must understand that Adi Shankara is presenting the preliminaries of this text in these verses before actually starting the actual teaching. Actual teaching will come later in the form of a dialogue between Guru and Shishya. But these preliminary portions are extremely important because they lay the foundation for the teaching itself. And we know if the foundation is weak, then the teaching will not be effective. Therefore, we have to pay attention to the messages in these portions, what is being explained or described. So now we have to take up 3C. I think we'll have time only to chant the sloka and see it in detail in the next class. I will chant the sloka. The third internal discipline or virtue, we will read verse number 14. Bahyana lambanam vrittehe yeshopat paratiruttama sahanam sarva dukkhana apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha nigadhyate. This is the 14th sloka. In fact, he explains, he has combined two disciplines in that. We will see the details in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ನನಗೆ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ
ಹರಿ ಓಂ.
ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಜಿ, ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
धन्यवाद.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಗುರುಜಿ.
ಹರಿ ಓಂ ಗುರುಜಿ. ಹರಿ
Hari
ಓಂ.
Om. Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you, Guruji.
Guruji. Thank you very much.
Hari Om. Yes, Hari ji.
ಹರಿ ಓಂ.
Hari Om.
Guruji, you were talking about Ekarupa, Vishwarupa, and Arupa. At the same time, they have also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita Anekarupa. Ekarupa, Anekarupa, Vishwarupa. What is the difference between Anekarupa and Vishwarupa?
Actually, Aneka Rupa, Vishwarupa is one and the same. Because Eka Rupa means one form.
Yeah,
Aneka means what? More than one, multitude.
that is the world, no?
That is the world. That is Vishwa. That is Vishwarupa. So Aneka Rupa and Vishwarupa are one and the same. But then if you want to see Aneka Rupa,
Yeah,
you can also take it like, suppose somebody has a Ishta Devata, we say Eka Rupa Ishvara, you have attached to that.
yeah,
But most of us, we actually pray to what? Krishna, Rama, and Devi, Shiva, Vishnu, so many are there.
okay,
But they are also gods only, right?
yeah,
So, Eka Rupa or Aneka Rupa will come at the Manda Adhikari level. Whether you talk about one god or you talk about a batch of these gods whom referred to in the Puranas,
yeah,
they are all at the Manda Adhikari level. You can call them as Eka Rupa or you can call them as Aneka Rupa. Vishwarupa is the next stage, the advanced stage, where you are not going by any specific form. Every form is a form of God. Right? You are not restricting yourself to a human form, because all these gods are represented to us initially what? In human form. All the photos and the idols in the temples, everything, all human form. Of course, temple idol, there are some subtle things also. Other forms are also included in as a part of that god, which we normally do not observe it or take it like that, right?
yeah,
For example, Ganesha, Mushika is attached to Ganesha, and we should actually, the message is that we must worship Mushika as we worship Ganesha, correct?
yeah,
We do that. When there
Yeah.
is a Ganesha idol is there in our house, we will put a mala, we will put chandanam, kumkumam, etc. And if a rat comes into the room, we will immediately take something to kill that rat. Do we ever perceive the rat as a Mushika Vahana of Ganesha? We don't. Even though we will say, oh, Mushika Vahana, all sing and all singing we will do. But the moment the rat comes, our mind doesn't go that I recognize that as God, as part of Ganesha. So that is all at the Manda Adhikari level. But when we move further or graduate to the Madhyama Adhikari level, drop all these individuals. That drop means it's not replaced. It's inclusive. They are also God, and the entire world, every object, everything which you perceive, which you experience is Bhagavan only. My laptop is Bhagavan. My flask is Bhagavan. My eye spectacles are Bhagavan. Everything is Bhagavan only. Learn to see God in everything that you observe. Second stage. So Bhagavad Gita takes you through that. From Eka or Aneka Rupa to Vishwarupa to Arupa, Nirguna Brahman. That's the whole journey of Bhagavad Gita. And that is why the ultimate is Nirguna Brahman. So that is our ultimate goal. Understanding, appreciating, abiding in that Nirguna Brahman should be our ultimate goal. That is the message.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Guruji,
Hello.
we discussed detachment yesterday as well as today. No, that is a very, very difficult thing. Attachment, getting attached is very easy. It starts with your family, father, mother, then your own, then your job, and so on and so forth. But the detachment is the most difficult thing.
That is
although theoretically it can be said.
Yeah, go ahead, complete, and then I will explain.
No, what I'm saying is theoretically, we can say, Array, you get detached, don't look here, don't look there, just shut your eyes from all that, close your ears when somebody, it's all very easy, but how to develop that habit of detachment? Suppose, let us say your immediate, say children or somebody is ignoring you, do you call it detachment? Or you call it total irresponsible behavior? What do you call it?
Okay, I will explain to you what is detachment. The word detachment itself, attachment, detachment, and all, this nomenclature creates a lot of mental blocks for us. Right?
Correct.
In fact, detachment is one aspect of our nature itself. We just have to tap it a little more than what we are tapping it now. If I have to explain to you what is detachment, it is nothing but outgrowing. When you outgrow something to which you are attached or you are fascinated, that you call that detachment. Now, right from your childhood, you just look at your life. But you must have a good memory for that. When you were 0 to 5 years old, what were the objects and things that you were attached to or you had fascination for? When you reached 5 to 10 years age, how many of the 0 to 5 objects you were still fascinated, but the remaining you had outgrown? Let us take the case of our mother. When we are children, 0 to 5 years, we are totally dependent on our mother. In fact, I personally remember, I will not leave the pallu of my mother. Wherever she goes, I will go behind her. And then when she sleeps only, I will sleep. Right night, even if she sleeps at 12 o'clock, I will be awake and I will be going behind her. Now, when I come to 5 to 10 years, have I outgrown that attachment towards my mother? I have. When I was 5 years old or 10 years old, I was not going behind the kitchen and all that, holding on to my pallu, my mother's pallu. What happened? What happened there? Have I become detached with my mother? No. I have outgrown one kind of attachment and replaced it with another kind of attachment. Correct? Now, 5 to 10 years, you have got certain friends, you play goalie. Our time, I'm saying these days, children, they don't have any.
Absolutely.
In our times, we used to go cricket or something like that and all, right? Those friends were there, some school friends. When we come to 10 to 15 age, how many of those so-called attachment, either with those games or, or with those friends, we used to swear, tere bagar to main kuch nahi karunga and all that. Without you, I won't do anything. But We outgrow them. Those relationships we outgrow. So if you just reflect on this basis, throughout our life, we practice detachment. Means what? Outgrow one set of relationships, one type of emotional entanglement with another type of emotional entanglement. That's what we do, right? Now, when you come to this stage, what you have to do, you are emotionally now entangled with all the worldly objects, the relationship, love, mother and father, etc. One type of emotional entanglement which causes an emotional upheaval in your mind if something happens to them. Right?
Correct.
Now, the Shastra says, when you have reached this mature stage, replace that emotional attachment or emotional entanglement with another type of emotional entanglement, which is called love. When you convert it into love, because the emotions will be there, as long as mind is there, there will be emotions. Only thing we can do is change the nature of that emotion. So when we convert that into love, which is already an emotion we have in our mind, we love the nature, right? You say, I love the nature. Does it mean that you are emotionally attached to nature? No. You just love enjoying, right? You never ever try to change the nature, do you? Tell me one thing. There is a tree with green leaves, which is very beautiful to look at. Has ever a thought occurred to you that I should try to change the color of these leaves to blue or some pink, or that will look more beautiful? Has that thought ever occurred to you?
But that is an impossible thing. Even if the thought
No,
comes,
even if it is, suppose impossible mean was, for a scientific mind, nothing is impossible. Scientific mind will plan something and try to go about it, right? But that thought never occurs to us. We see a mountain, beautiful.
unless service, you try to biologically modify.
You try to biologically modify. What I'm saying is, don't look at the process, but look at our thought process. We accept the nature as it is. Why? And then we say we love nature. We appreciate nature. We accept nature as the nature is. We never ever try to change the nature. Right? And that emotion of appreciating the nature, of not trying to change the nature, that emotion is what is called love. So when you are talking about your children or your parents or your relationships, today you have a situation where if they don't talk to us, you feel upset, you feel hurt, there is a pain and all that. Replace that emotion into love. Because why it is happening? Attachment gives rise to expectations. And when the expectations are belied or not fulfilled is when your emotional upheaval takes place, if you actually analyze that. So, when you are not expecting anything from other people, whether it even if it your close relatives, do you expect that your neighbor who is there, he should every day say good morning to you, even though you don't know him, very well? And then if he doesn't say good morning, you feel very upset. Has that ever happened? He may pass through you, he may say good morning.
Yeah.
You are indifferent to that, right?
Absolutely.
You are not going to knock in the neighbor and say, what the hell, you don't say good morning to me? I'm very upset. You please say good morning to me every day. I want you to change your habit of not saying good morning. Will we ever do that?
True.
But when it comes to our parents, our children and all that, we will do this. We expect our parents, our children, all our, no. That's why I said the special relationships, we expect them to change in a manner that suits us, not suits them. Because we refuse to accept them as they are. And as I told in other class also, every personality is consisting of 4 different, aspects. We have got some control over only one of the 4 aspects. Of the 3 aspects, we have no control. But we feel that by having that small control, we can change the whole personality of the other people. That is fallacious thinking. And in fact, most of the fight between the spouses happen only because of this, right from the day of marriage. The husband tries to change the wife's behavior. The wife tries to change the husband's behavior. It is not possible, and they both keep on fighting. If we understand this, we'll become wise. We'll say, oh, this person is like that only. Suppose there is a mad person, mentally challenged person we come across in the road. He is, doing something and all that, throwing stones at some people and things like that and all. Will we ever think of going and changing that person? No. I sit down here. I will tell you this is not wrong. You must take bath every day. You must shave. You must wear good clothes. If you don't have clothes, I will give you. Will we ever think of doing that?
We'll be indifferent.
We'll be indifferent. So while in their growing up stages, the children, we cannot afford to be indifferent because we have to put certain value. The 25% of parental contribution has to go into the children. Once they grow up, we must say, whatever I had to do, I had done. I have already done. So these people are now what it is. 25% my contribution, 25% their vasanas, 25% their karmas, 25% what they have gained from the society. There is their personality. Let me accept that personality as it is and continue whatever I can do to help them, continue my care without attempting to change them in any manner. Advice you can give without expecting that they will follow the advice necessarily. So so whenever we talk of attachment, detachment, etc., it is only outgrowing a certain emotional state of mind and graduating into the next level.
Now, I'll give you a simple example. Last night, as we were about to retire to sleep, daughter rings up. Prior to that, she sends a photograph of some insect bite in her hand.
Insect bite. Insect bite.
All reddish in the hand and all that. Then time zones are different.
Yeah.
She's sitting in London. So now, whatever we tell her already, you try this. Still, we couldn't sleep the night. You cannot detach. Already you try all the. I'm going to sleep now.
That mental level you will have to develop that. As I said, it is not easy.
It is not like cutting off the umbilical cord and say thank you, carry on.
No, I wouldn't say carry on. Give them advice.
No, advice is, as you rightly said,
once you have done that, see, you must keep on questioning yourself. Now there is a photograph which has come. I have seen it. I am mentally disturbed. What I can do about it? Let us be very practical. What I can do about it? Sit down, maybe take a paper and pencil.
I entirely agree with you. Except giving a piece of advice, we can do nothing. But still, that attachment comes. So what happens?
Let me ask you one thing. Another example. Suppose you are a BJP follower. You want BJP government to come in Karnataka. You go and vote for BJP.
Yes.
BJP doesn't come. Do you sit and cry, oh my God, BJP did not come? Your approach is, I am a BJP supporter. I did what I did. I went and voted for BJP. I am not the only person going to be deciding whether BJP comes to power or not. There are so many other forces, so many other things are there. So I have done my duty. casting my vote. Whatever happens, let it happen. So that kind of a mentality, all these things, whatever our scriptures talk, they are all there in our system. Only thing is, we fail to tap those things at the right time. That is what is happening. In fact, if my children don't talk to me, or if my parents don't talk to me, or somebody doesn't say anything to me, I look at it very positively. Oh, this gives me an opportunity to actually move away, outgrow their, necessity in my life from a point of view of dependence. Attachment is always, other side of attachment is dependence. So you move away from the dependence means what? You are becoming less and less attached. Emotional dependent people have, oh, my children, if they don't call me every day, I feel very, miserable. I want them to call me every day. Especially when your children are abroad and all that, you expect all these things. But when they stop doing that, then you, as a spiritual seeker, look at it as an opportunity. Okay, fine. They must have been busy. It's their own world, rather. They used to call me 10 years ago when they just gone there. Now they were busy with their own world. They're working and things like that and all. Their time zones are different. I cannot now expect them to call me every day. Once in a week also, if they call, it's a big thing. I'll be happy. So it's all a question of, it's very difficult for us to exactly give a formula how to do it. Everybody has to work on own to reach that. But as long as we are in the trap of emotional dependence, we will never ever be happy always. Sometimes we'll be happy, then it will then become some other thing will happen and which will make us sad and which will make us. If you want to get out of that, many people accept that and live, no problem. If that is what you choose in your life, that is your choice.
Absolutely.
But if you choose your life goal is different, then you have to choose certain things which are difficult. Right?
Agreed.
That's a thing. Yesterday, my wife's cousin came. He was telling me that he is a very passionate cycler, right?
Okay.
He goes for cycling. So I think the day before yesterday or something like that, night 10 o'clock they started cycling. That is a tour of Bombay.
Oh my God.
So it ended in the morning 6 o'clock, 150 kilometers they cycled whole night. Of course, stopping for a tea and here and all that kind of a thing. Now, if you ask me to do, I am not jealous of him at all. Because I can't do that at all. I can't even imagine doing that kind of a thing. I can't even cycle for 1 kilometer. What to talk of 150 kilometers. But that is his passion. And for that, he is prepared to do anything for that. He is a part of some cycle club or something. And then they have these kind of tours, often. And he is prepared to forego everything, forego his sleep, forego his rest, everything for pursuing his passion. Therefore, if moksha is your passion, then there is a formula given in the
There's a formula.
Follow that formula. You must be prepared to give up everything. It's as simple or as complicated as that.
As complete, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Guruji. You've got a long wait now. So many people are there in the queue.
No, that's okay. I'm no hurry. We can take all questions, no issue at all. Yes,
Thank you very much.
I don't know who put up their hand first. So
yeah, I think it's me, Acharya ji.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I know I was, you answered it towards the end. What I was saying is it's with divine grace only, even that circumstances will come which will help you to detach.
Absolutely.
Like Acharya ji, you mentioned, this is what I have experienced when my child grew up and she decided, she obviously you will feel the difference when they grow up. So for me, it was a blessing. So I got kind of detached. Yes, the love is there, but no longer the expectation that they should listen to me, they should do what they want. No, that change in her, the moment I accepted, it really became a detachment. Earlier, I was very attached.
Absolutely. So, when you
experience Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes when Krishnanji mentioned about son did not say good morning or did not wish or something, that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
That's it.
It's a blessing to
Yeah.
really get into that mode of detachment. Without feeling anything in your heart, you have all the love for them. You will do whatever is required, but at the same time, you are totally watching it without feeling anything. You don't get entangled. I have experienced it.
Frees up your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like I mentioned, you have to set them free to become free. You have to set them free.
And in fact, this is what Puja Swamiji used to say, set them free to become free. That's a famous word of Puja Swamiji, rather, right? You have to set them free. Even your spouse, you have to set her free to become free. Otherwise, no point in, having this attachment. And of course, there is a stage when you have to have attachment. There's a stage when you have to get it detached, rather, right? The railway coaches and all, different directions.
Yes, it's a matter of priority. This is number one priority. Then
matter of priority, matter of changing goals.
Situations will come where you have to take that right call, and that's it. That will help you.
That is true. That is true. And as you rightly say, when you have got, and that's my experience, when you have got a very sincere, ardent goal, the cosmic forces, they come together, which is what we call grace of Ishvara or whatever name you give. They come together to make it happen, rather. They will guide you through that whole thing. They will present circumstances to you in which you can actually succeed in what you are aiming at. So all these things, it's beautiful to experience. Thank you. Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, I think the Hariji, we have already taken a question. I will come to him later. Sitaram, I will first take.
This is something, it is not your own detachment, but your immediate family also. I'll tell you of an incident. 1972, my grandmother died at 94. Well, she died. Last 1 week, she was in the hospital. Then I didn't cry or anything. My father said, when a mother goes, even a rock melts, and you fellow, you are not crying. I think that was a regret. He had it till the last. We used to mention. So it is not only your feeling of detachment. Sense of detachment is very easy to say, but then sometimes you display a sense of attachment because the near and dear around you expect you to be attached.
See, this attachment, detachment and all is a condition of your own personal emotions. But that does not mean that you go around propagating, oh, I am now in a spiritual path, I am going to be detached. So when I go to a house where there is some death has occurred, I am not going to cry, I am not going to become emotional. All those things, if you are trying, then you are actually passing on a virus to the other people also. Certain circumstances from a worldly affair point of view, since we are part of the world,
yes,
certain behavior is expected of us. And those behaviors certainly are not going to be in conflict with what your emotional state is. So you must not go to a house and say, I know the Brahman and all, eternal, anitya vastu, nitya vastu, this is all anitya vastu, so it is good that that person has died and all. If you start saying...
no, this was way back, 50 years
I'm
back.
telling you, in general, I'm telling you. So whatever expectation of the society is from us, we must not have a emotional state of a jadam, as they call it, totally emotionally, what you can say, a desert. That is not what is meant by detachment. Detachment is replacement of a binding desire with a non-binding desire, which is we can call the preference, or you can even extend it to love. Emotion is still involved in that. What is attachment? Attachment is a desire which is binding, that if it doesn't happen, which creates an expectation, and the expectation is not fulfilled, you are shattered. That is attachment. right? Now the same thing, relationship, without that expectation, if you have, it is not a binding desire. Because if it happens, good, not doesn't happen, doesn't matter. Not a binding desire. Binding desire is not attachment, it is not raga. So that is how we have to differentiate between desires also. What is a binding desire? What is a non-binding desire? It's only binding desire which leads to expectations, which leads to attachment. And non-binding desire is one stage. You extend that stage, it becomes love. Because non-binding desire could be indifference also. Love is not indifference. Love is caring. Love is giving. That is what is love is, appreciating rather. So these are all stages where when you analyze them, subtly rather, we get to know all these things rather. So as you say, at your stage, whatever expectation of your father, which because of the attachment he had towards his mother and towards you also, he expected you to express your regrets or your this thing by crying and all that, which from his standpoint was not a wrong expectation. You were probably too young to understand all that, probably too young in the sense, nice 72 you said, right? You must have been what, 19 years or something like that. Yeah. Because I know you are my age. So at that stage, we would not have, we would just been out of college and things like that and all, and these things. In fact, there is a very fantastic viveka at that stage. All these things we will say, oh, this is what is great thing, somebody dies, everybody dies and all that, we will become philosophers, mini philosophers at that stage. That philosophy will go when we get married. That's what happens there. Very interesting to observe how life changes. So what I'm saying is you must understand what all these attachment, detachment and all these mean. Once we understand that, we can work towards it. That's what it is. Yeah. It's an expectation of other people will always be there. We can't change that. So what we should do is, without compromising on our own beliefs, our own goals, we can try to fulfill their expectations if it is going to give them happiness. That's all. As simple as that. Yes, Hariji, I'll come back to you now.
Guruji, this when we talk about attachment or showing our emotion or feeling or objectivity, this becomes a problematic subject only when we deal with human being.
Yeah, no.
Today, yeah, today you shout at me or you hit me or what, then my feeling will be totally different. Whereas if a tiger, if a snake, poisonous snake bites somebody and let us assume that my son dies, I'm not going to hate the snake because it is poisonous and it bit. Okay, I will still, I won't have any sort of feeling towards the snake. I'm not going to curse the snake because that snake bit my son. Whereas if the same thing happens to my son, that somebody hits him and out of that he loses his life, my reaction and my approach to the fellow human being, I'm talking about human being, will be totally different.
Yeah.
Why is it so?
Because we expect every other human being to change as we want them to change. Yeah. But we don't expect the nature to change. That's what I explained about the tree color, the leaves of the tree, the mountain, snake. They have got their own nature, which we know we can't change, so we don't attempt to change. Unfortunately, we don't understand that in terms of human beings. Forget somebody else, even our own close relatives, we don't understand that we can't change them. And all our struggle in life is to change everything around us to make it convenient for us, suitable to us, which will never happen. Some things you may change a little bit here and there, but they are not very material significant. What significant changes you expect, that is not going to happen. So the first lesson in wisdom is stop changing people, situations, and objects. Stop changing. If at all you have got a power to change, you can change only yourself. Analyze yourself, look at introspect and see what are all the things that you need to change within yourself for you to move towards your goal in life, whatever be that goal. That is the only change we can bring about.
We are ready to accept all other things as they are. We are not ready to accept human beings, our own species, as they are.
That is what is ignorance, ajnanam. Because we don't have a knowledge that we can't do that. And we think that we can do it. So the problem, we face the problem.
A tiger jumps on me. I'm not going to sit and judge why did that. I know that it is its nature, then it's going to do it.
That is there.
Whereas if any human being does it, then I've got 110 explanation and judgment, and I don't know what all I will have. It is strange, is it not?
It is not strange. That is the way the nature has made us. Nothing is strange. If we have to overcome that, then we have to, if we understand that, then it is easy to overcome. If we don't understand what exactly is this, then we will continue to suffer the consequences of our misunderstanding or misconception. That's all. So all these things, the scriptures are all meant to help us in overcoming all these things only. That's why scriptural study is emphasized rather. These kind of things are not discussed in any physics books or chemistry books or biology.
Yeah, true.
They are only discussed in the scripture. So we have to understand the scriptures. Yeah.
Okay.
But any more questions? Nothing means I'll close the session. We'll meet next week. Hari Om. Thank you.
It was a long session.
That's okay.
Hari Om, Acharya ji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Dhanyawad.
Hari Om. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Hari Om.